Hello students, welcome again in the series of lectures of financial accounting and analysis. I, Dr. Shikha Jalota, welcome you again in this. Today we are going to talk about the principles of accounting, that is conventions, because in the previous lecture we have already covered the concepts. Now we'll come to the next part of the principles, that is conventions. So conventions, as we have discussed in the previous lecture also, that it is the basic customs or the traditions that we used to follow while preparing the books of accounts. So it is not a rule, it is not mandatory, but it comes out of the customs that we were used to do this in the previous. So we will be doing in the current and the future years also for maintaining the books of accounts. So under the conventions, we can see here, the first is the convention of conservatism. Convention of conservatism here means that it simply says that the revenue, until and unless it has been realized, or the profits until and unless it is realized, will not be shown in the books of accounts or will not be shown in the accounting records. But if there is any expected losses in the business operations, that needs to be anticipated in beforehand only, and will be incorporated in the books of accounts. So in all, we can see here that the conservatism here means we are little bit conservative towards the profits that the business will be earning. Like profits, until and unless it will be received and realized, it will not be considered as a profit. So which means that we are conservative towards profit. We are not assuming any profits. We are not anticipating any profits, or we are not recognizing, better to say, we are not recognizing any profits until and unless it has actually been received by the receiver. So that will not become your profit until you receives it. But if in the case of losses, we are having a liberal policy, liberal in the sense that if in case you realizes or you recognizes or you anticipates any of the profit, sorry, any of the losses, it is considered to be a loss for the business and it will be reflected in the books of accounts. So conservatism here talks about the anticipated profits which should not be reflected in the books, but on the other hand, the anticipated profits, anticipated losses should be recognized in the books of accounts. For example, suppose you have anticipated any of the profits and recorded in the books of accounts, and since you have recorded in the books of accounts, still the profit which is actually expected to be received during this time period, your profit has not been received or the profit has been cancelled out. It will not, it is not further expected to be received, but you have already entered it in the books of accounts. Now you have to make the adjustment entry to nullify the effect of it. And suppose if you have already calculated the profit on the basis of this anticipated profit after recording it, so your profit will be unnecessarily showing higher figures, which is not the true profit. It should be less than that much amount of profit which you have entered as an anticipated profit and which is not expected to be received now. So what is happening? Your profit is unnecessarily going high, since because of that profit which previously expected, but now it is no more expected. So until and unless you receive the profit should not be recorded in the books. But in the case of losses, suppose if you have entered a loss, assuming to be an expected loss, as we do in the case of provisions for bad debt, etc., provisions for depreciation, what we do, we usually keep a provision aside as an expense for these expected losses. So we are well prepared in advance that this can be the loss, and we are preparing a separate provision for meeting out all these losses earlier only. So this is not the actual loss, but since the expected losses and it is expected to come, so we are preparing ourselves for those losses by keeping a part of the revenue for such expenses. This provision of bad and doubtful debts, provision for depreciation. What is this? This is nothing else but the safeguarding ourselves against the any of the expected losses. So this is what the convention of conservatism is. Then coming to the convention of consistency. Convention of consistency means like accounting practices should remain unchanged from one period to another. Like there should not be much changes in the accounting policy or the policy of recording the accounting informations in the like different formats. So the purpose behind this is that if we keep on changing the policy of recording the transactions, or we keep on changing the policy of like calculating the depreciation or calculating the interest, etc., the accounting records become incomparable from one year to the other, because in one year you are following a different policy, in the other year there was different policy of calculation. Let's take for example the method of depreciation here. In previous years you were taking suppose if you keep on changing the method of depreciation every 5 years, so it becomes like incomparable. The data is incomparable in reference to the amount of depreciation that needs to be calculated. So it becomes incomparable. Then let's take up another example. Suppose if the amount of provision, calculation of amount of provision. Earlier, you used to take 5% as the provision for calculating debt, but now you have changed it to 10%, then you change it to 8%. If you keep on frequently changing this percentage of debt calculation or provision for debt, doubtful debt regularly, then the amount will become incomparable. The calculations become incomparable, and a fruitful results cannot be derived out of interpreting these informations. So the sense here is that the consistency should be there while recording the accounting information or the calculations. If the consistency will not be maintained, obviously the results of 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, this will not be comparable easily, and you need to go in detail every year to check out what all are the changes, and those changes needs to be considered again and again while interpreting the results. So consistency to the maximum level you can attain the consistency, it is good for the business and also good for the you can say comparing the results of each and every year. See, let it be the conservatism or the consistency, both the conventions, it is not mandatory. Nobody is saying that the consistency should be there. It is for your convenience, it is for your better comparability of results that you should maintain the consistency. But nobody is going to say that why if you are not consistently preparing the records, then nobody is interfering in that why you are not maintaining the consistency. It is not mandatory, but it gives you the better results if you maintain the consistency in your records. It gives the better results if you are a little bit conservative as per the convention of conservatism while recording your profits and the losses. Then comes the convention of full disclosure. See, the convention of full disclosure says that reports, accounting reports should disclose fully and fairly the information they purport to represent. They should be honestly prepared and sufficiently disclose information which is of material interest to the, let's say, proprietors, present and potential creditors, and you can say the investors also. So the convention is gaining more importance because most of the big businesses are run by the, you can say, joint stock companies, where ownership is different from the management. So the full disclosure, when you give of the accounting information to the interested parties, you gain trust of the investors. And of course, the trust of the investors, may it be the trust of investors, may it be of the owners, it gives more strength to the company, obviously, because the ownership is different and the management is different in the case of joint stock companies. So obviously, having the trust of the investors and the owners is the prime objective, should be the prime objective of the management. And accordingly, the full disclosure convention will always work good for the company. because the outside parties are involved, many of the outside and the internal users are involved in the accounting information, are using the accounting information. So if you're giving this full disclosure, obviously their trust will be maintained in the company. Then comes the convention of materiality. According to this convention, the accountant should attach importance to material details and ignore the insignificant details of the business. Right? This is because otherwise accounting will be unnecessarily overburdened with minute details. So the question, what constitutes a material detail, is left to the discretion of the accountant. Moreover, an item may be material for one purpose while immaterial for the another business. So it is the decision of the accountant that for that particular business in which he is preparing the accounts, which information is material and which information is immaterial. Accordingly, the information will be disclosed to the concerned parties. So materiality should be there if you consider that this particular information is important for the business, important for the stakeholders, important for the users of the accounting information. That should be specifically dealt with along with the informations that you are conveying in the accounting records. So for the conventions, all these 4 conventions are important for the business, though I'm again saying that these are not the mandatory requirements which should be followed, but these are all the customs or the traditions that the business should follow in order to make their statements, accounting informations more viable and more, you can say, trustworthy. Now, this is it for your principles. Principles has been divided into 2 set of principles, concepts and conventions. So we have already covered the concepts and the conventions. The rest part of it we will be covering in the next lecture. Now let us take a very small topic, that is the systems of bookkeeping. Systems of bookkeeping here means there are 2 ways of keeping or maintaining the books. That is bookkeeping or recording of transactions. There are 2 ways of it. One is the cash system of accounting. Other is the accrual system of accounting. Now it is, let's take up the cash system first. It is a system of maintaining the accounts in which the accounting entries are made only when the cash is being received or paid. Until and unless the cash transaction has already been occurred, you are not liable to record that transaction in the business. So no entry is being made when a payment or receipts is merely due. Government system of accounting is mostly on the cash system basis only, and above all, the certain professional people record their income on cash basis, but while recording the expenses, they take into account the outstanding expenses also. So in such a case, the financial statement prepared by them for determination of their income is termed as receipts and expenditure account. So in all, we can say if we follow the cash system of accounting, we are not recording usually any due amount which is being paid or which is being received. It is only the amount which is already being received or already being paid is recorded under the cash system of accounting. Then next comes the accrual system of accounting. We call it as mercantile system of accounting also. Under this, it is a system in which the accounting entries are made on the basis of amounts having become due for payment or receipt. This system recognizes the fact that if a transaction or an event has occurred, its consequences cannot be avoided and therefore should be brought into books in order to present a meaningful picture of profit, you can say, or the losses suffered, and also of the financial position of the firm concerned. So the difference between these 2 systems of accounting is this, that one is totally based upon the receipts and the payments when it has already been done, and the other is based upon the accrual system, where we simply follow this concept that either it is a profit or a loss, it is a receipt or a payment, it should be recorded in its specific financial year only, whether it is being received or paid in some other financial year. But since being the part of that particular financial year, whether it has been received or not, it is being paid or not, it should be recorded in that particular financial year, because in every financial year at the end the book gets closes by 31st March. So any transactions of a particular year, let's say for example, the transaction belongs to 10-11 financial year. So the transaction which is of 10-11 financial year, accrual system of accounting believes that it should be recorded in that particular year, in that financial year only, 10-11, whether it is being paid or received in the next year or in the previous year only it has been received, or it is being received in financial of being 10-11 and it has been received in 9-10 only. But it should be recorded in your that particular financial year 10-11 only. So when we talk about cash system, we do not focus on the financial year, in which financial year the transaction belongs to. Whenever and whatever is being received, it will be recorded then and there only, irrespective of the financial concern of the financial year. But in accrual system of accounting, the concern is of the financial year, the amount, whether the receipt or the payment, if it is of a particular financial year, it should be recorded in that only. If it is not being paid, it has to be paid and not being paid, then it will be the due amount, accrual amount. If it has outstanding amount, if it has to be received and not being received, then of course it will be accrued income, which should be recorded in that year. If suppose any expense which has been paid this year but it belongs to some coming years, then it will be the prepaid expenses. So the crux is that the information which belongs to a particular financial year should be recorded in the books in that financial year only, if we are preparing the accounts as per the accrual system of accounting. And to tell you here that specifically in India, the companies follows the accrual system of accounting, where they more focus on the financial year rather than the actual receipts and payment of the amount which is being when paid, how paid. This has not been given concern, but more concern is that the particular entry is of a particular financial year should be recorded in that year only, irrespective of the payment or the receipt when it is being done. So these are the two systems of bookkeeping. We'll wind up the session for today here. We'll meet up with the new topic in the next lecture. Thank you.